SummerSlam 2023 is in the books, and we had a lot of highs and a lot of lows in the biggest party of the summer. Now, I didn't personally love this year's SummerSlam, and you can watch my review that I've already uploaded on this channel. But today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at every single match on the SummerSlam card, and we're going to rank them from Hall of Fame all the way down to trash. And hey, as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I promise you, you already found the best channel that there is. We upload daily wrestling content, so go ahead and subscribe. All right, folks, here are the tiers that we're going to be using. We have Hall of Fame, great, good, meh, and trash. Let's go ahead and start off with the match that opened up SummerSlam between Logan Paul and Ricochet. In my opinion, this was the most entertaining match of the night. It wasn't the most technically sound match, but it was definitely the most athletic and the most exciting match of the night. Logan Paul and Ricochet both came out looking like absolute rock stars. I would say especially Ricochet. I think that this is Ricochet's best match on the main roster in his entire WWE main roster run. And as far as Logan Paul goes, he also came out looking fantastic, and he elevated his game as a heel by winning really for the first time through like really dastardly measures by using brass knuckles. There were a lot of like wild spots in this match. It was a fantastic, just crazy, high adrenaline spot fest that almost made me think that I was watching an AEW match. What I will say is that I think this is the wake-up call for the last remaining Logan Paul haters when it comes to people believing that he doesn't belong in the WWE. He has been good in the ring now for over a year plus, but now what he's done is he's really elevated his character work, and he's becoming one of the most entertaining heels on the roster. So I keep asking people that are just on the hate Logan Paul bandwagon to just stop that narrative. Now, I will say that there are some personal things that people just don't like about Logan Paul, the things that he did in Japan, the crypto scam. I really don't follow any of that stuff. I really am, to my core, just a wrestling nerd. And what I see in wrestling, in the ring, in the camera, in backstage segments, is that Logan Paul is an absolute gem. And now what I'm curious about is what the WWE is going to do with Ricochet, because he had a fantastic match with Logan Paul, and historically, the WWE tends to reward WWE superstars that have fantastic matches with celebrities. Just look at the likes of Seth Rollins. I'm not saying that Seth Rollins was elevated by Logan Paul, but we need to acknowledge the fact that right after beating Logan Paul, he won the World Heavyweight Championship. There's also Sami Zayn losing to and having a fantastic match with Johnny Knoxville, and then immediately being placed into the Bloodline storyline. So there is something to be said about the WWE rewarding WWE superstars when they can have a great showcase with a celebrity. So I'm curious if this is going to lead for big things for Ricochet moving forward, or if it's going to be business as usual. I hope it's that he's going to get some great opportunities and more TV screen time. But overall, this match gets a great thumbs up from me. I think it was one of the best matches of the show, if not the best. So this one goes into Hall of Fame. And by the way, when I say like Hall of Fame, like I'm not saying like this is one of the greatest matches of all time. This tier list is literally only comparative to things within the list already. Okay, I just want to clarify. Next up, we have Brock Lesnar versus Cody Rhodes in a no disqualification match. Nope, sorry, my bad. In a false count anywhere. No, it wasn't in a Hell in a Cell. No, it wasn't that either, because this match had no stipulation. So yeah, this rubber match that was supposed to be the most violent of all the matches was just a regular match. But you'd think it might have been a no disqualification match, because straight up Cody Rhodes just got himself disqualified, and they didn't call it when he grabbed the steel steps and used them as a weapon. And I've heard so many weird theories that's like, well, the steps are part of the ring, therefore it's not a weapon. No, dude, come on. That is ridiculous. If I were to grab plywood from the ring, all right, because the ring is made out of plywood underneath, and I use that 2x4 plywood to beat someone, you can't just say that's part of the ring, all right? That's a disqualification as far as I'm concerned. He should have gotten disqualified. But I digress. Honestly, that's just me being a wrestling nerd, because, you know, like, who cares? Like, the rules of the world of professional wrestling ultimately don't matter. They're just there to tell a story. And this match told a story. That's for sure. I don't know if it's a story that I personally liked. because the narrative that this match decided to go with was Brock Lesnar trying to beat down Cody Rhodes so bad that he would win by countout. But that is like the least Brock Lesnar way to win a match. Like, Brock Lesnar is the type to obliterate you, F5 suplexes, 1, 2, 3, you're out. He's always been that character that wants to get in and out of the ring as fast as possible, collect that paycheck and go home, because he's just a beast incarnate and he's just there to kick ass. So it was a very bizarre, match narrative and choreography to have Brock Lesnar try and win about 5 separate times via countout, and only for Cody Rhodes to, of course, miraculously Captain American get up at 9.5 and roll back into the ring. It was a narrative that I didn't personally like. I think it gave Cody Rhodes this semblance of almost supernatural, because no one should be able to do what Brock Lesnar did to them and then come back, hit 3 crossroads and win. It was almost just too comic book like, and Brock Lesnar kind of just seemed honestly kind of like the dumb heel for allowing Cody Rhodes to come back from the damage that he'd already done. So I didn't love that match narrative, but then things switched when they stopped doing this whole countout thing and it became a match in the ring and Cody Rhodes is finally getting some offense. I really started to enjoy that. So had they only gone for this narrative of the count out and that's it, then I probably would have put this into the meh or trash category, but I think that they fixed it. And also the post-match angle was really, really wholesome, because apparently it was off script. Brock Lesnar clearly just enjoyed his time working with Cody Rhodes and embraced him, but also shout out to Brock Lesnar's shorts. They were the real MVP. I'm going to put this match into the good category. Next up, we have the Slim Jim Battle Royal that was won by LA Knight. We had a surprise entrant. Yeah, I'd say it's a surprise entrant. It's a return. He was gone for about a month, and it was the only surprise entrant and the really only surprise of the entire show in terms of returns, and that was the return of Omos. And I think that the match choreography with Omos and everybody needing to band together to eliminate Omos was fantastic. One of the things that this match did really, really well was tell individual stories within the larger scope of the match, because we had in-ring storytelling between Nakamura and Ciampa. Of course, we had storytelling between Imperium and Chad Gable, Sheamus and LA Knight, Grayson Waller and The Miz. There was a lot of micro stories being told within this battle royal, and that's something that the WWE usually doesn't do, or if they try to do it, they do it very, very poorly in these rigmarole random superstar battle royals that they decide to put in place. This one really told a cohesive story from beginning to end, and they picked the right winner. One of my highlights of this match, aside from of course LA Knight winning, was that they decided to redo this spot of the jumping up to the top turnbuckle vertical superplex from LA Knight to Sheamus that they screwed up on SmackDown. I thought that was a neat little callback to make that one of the last spots of the entire match. This was great. Honestly, I think this is another one of the highlights of the show. I'm going to put that into the great category. Oh, God. Oh, Ronda Rousey versus Shayna Baszler. This may have been, and I may be exaggerating, but look, I'm now a couple of days removed from SummerSlam, and I'm still having these thoughts, so there must be a semblance of truth to this. This may be the worst SummerSlam match that I've ever seen, and I've seen every SummerSlam since 2002 when I started watching wrestling, and I genuinely believe that was the worst SummerSlam match that I've ever seen. MMA rules in the WWE clearly doesn't work. When you're trying to have a fake MMA match, it just kind of brings a spotlight to the scripted nature of the WWE, and we're trying subconsciously to forget about that when we're watching a wrestling match. On top of that, I really thought that this match needed more presentation. I think it needed Bruce Buffer announcing these ladies to really give it a semblance of that shoot fight MMA feel. I think that it needed rounds. I think that it needed a cage. Maybe this should have just been a fight pit match. I just think that it could have been so much better than it ended up being. It was slow. It was boring. The finish was just kind of like instant. I honestly, like, I barely watched this match because I was like, okay, this is probably going to go for like 15 minutes because it's got, you know, it's gotten a lot of hype. And like within like what felt like 5 minutes, Ronda Rousey gets, I guess, choked out. If there's a match that you're going to skip in this show, it's this one. And from what I've heard from the crowd that was in Detroit watching this live, this was the bathroom break match, but it became such a hassle because so many people went to the bathroom that no one could go to the bathroom. So many people tried to go get concessions, then no one was able to go get concessions. So yeah, apparently this was just a shit show. I never want to see this again. And look, my hope was that Shayna Baszler was going to come out looking like the next badass mother effer of the women's division. And I don't know that this helped her. Honestly, I really don't know that this match helped elevate her while Ronda Rousey is on her way out. This goes in trash. Next up, we have, honestly, listen, hear me out, okay? I think this is my biggest disappointment of the night, even though it was a great match, because I overhyped this and I really thought that this could be a match of the year contender, and it ultimately wasn't. I'm talking about Gunther versus Drew McIntyre for the Intercontinental Championship. Was it a good match? Yeah. Was it a great match? Debatable, because this is easily the weakest Gunther match versus one of these European bruiserweights like Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. Definitely the match against Sheamus was way better. The triple threat at WrestleMania was leagues and bounds better than this. This was, to me, my biggest disappointment, even though I can look at this objectively and know that this was a good match. But this is just what we expect now from a Gunther match. We expect greatness, and when we don't get greatness, it gets overly highlighted and it disappoints us. But again, we need to recognize that it wasn't a bad match. It just wasn't a match of the year. The match was hard hitting. Both of the guys had like bloody chests after the end of it. But even in terms of the brutality, it wasn't as brutal as their previous matches before. I don't know, man. Like, I'm kind of just at a loss for words because I'm trying to talk this match down and tell you about my disappointment, but I also recognize in the back of my head that it's almost ludicrous for me to tell you about my disappointment when I know that this match was good. But I think maybe a lot of you guys resonate with what I'm trying to say, that I think a lot of us had this and pegged this as the match of the night, match of the month, match of the summer, match of the year. But it wasn't. It wasn't the best match, wasn't the second best match, and arguably wasn't even the third best match on the show. So I'm going to put this into the good category. Next up, we have Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. And this match was fantastic. One of the things that I loved about this match was the story that they were telling within the ring and outside of the actual physicality of it, which was the story of the 7 years of hatred, the 7 years of anguish that Finn Balor has gone through. It starts off with great showmanship with Seth Rollins coming out in the same in-ring gear from 7 years ago that he damaged Seth. Excuse me, let's do that bit again. It started with a great bit of presentation with Seth Rollins coming out in the same outfit that he had 7 years ago, and Finn Balor having that mark of the word 7 body painted over his injury that he suffered 7 years ago. So I thought that it told a really great narrative. The match was brutal. It was hard hitting. It was also technically sound all at the same time. It had a lot of fantastic near falls. Oh my God, the near falls were absolutely bananas. I got to give a shout out to the near fall of Finn Balor hitting that coup de grace after Seth Rollins had been fighting off all of the Judgment Day. And dude, that was as close to a 3 count as it gets. That was a 2.9999999 count. If I have to give this match a little bit of a gripe, was maybe it was a little bit overbooked just with everybody from the Judgment Day coming out, and it basically became a 4-on-1 for a little bit there. But even that story was pretty good as well. I think the low point of this was the ending. I didn't like the ending of Damian Priest giving the briefcase to Finn Balor to use it as a weapon, only for Seth Rollins to then hit the stomp on Finn Balor while he's looking at the briefcase. I thought that was very dumb Bond villain-esque, right? Where where like, hey, I've got this crazy weapon. Oh, darn, the weapon was used against me. I didn't like that. I thought that was cheesy. I thought that was lame. I don't know if the right winner came out on top, because I really think that this is where they should have pulled the trigger on Finn Balor. But again, this is long-term storytelling. We're here for the long haul. Clearly, there's a lot of the story that needs to be told. There's going to be some fantastic infighting turmoil story that's going to be told between the Judgment Day and, of course, between Finn Balor and Damian Priest. This match, to me, it's probably like tied with Ricochet versus Logan Paul as the best match of the night. It goes into the Hall of Fame for me. Next up, we have the women's triple threat match between Asuka, Bianca Belair, and Charlotte Flair. And this, I really did not think this was very good. And I think that this was a huge opportunity missed by the WWE. Currently, there is a huge narrative in the world of professional wrestling that women are not being treated as well as the men in terms of booking, storylines, opportunities, TV time, etc. And I really thought that this match could have been the WWE's way to stick it to the rest of the world of professional wrestling and demonstrate that the best women are in WWE. Women are treated fantastically in WWE. If you want to be a female professional wrestler, you should aspire to be in the WWE. I really thought, and I called it, like I was saying on my live stream, twitch.tv/SantiZap, that this, maybe they let these ladies cook to the point where that maybe they put on a match of the year candidate, but that just, it wasn't the case. This was bad. Like, and not Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler bad in terms of it like just being boring, but it had a lot of mistakes. It was very sloppy. There was almost just no chemistry between the three women, and it's a shame because all three of these women individually or maybe in one-on-one matches against one another can put on absolute bangers, but those three together, my goodness, it was oil and water. They just had no chemistry in any capacity. And it also told a ludicrously stupid storyline with Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair selling an injury to her knee, which, by the way, she sold masterfully. I really thought that she busted her knee apart. And I was like, oh my God, like she's gone for a year. Her blood-curdling scream, her acting was fantastic. And then, of course, in classic WWE fashion, you knew it was fake once the commentator started just saying nothing except talking about the injury. Like when they bring light to the injury, it's like, okay, you know it's a work. So now we have a situation where Bianca Belair shoos off the doctors, limps back into the ring with what we're supposed to believe is a incredibly damaging injury, and she's hopping around in one leg and she's doing 450 splashes, picking up the ladies for KODs, and she's even tanking a figure 8 lock. It was the worst bout of Super Bianca that we've seen. I said this in my review that not even Super Cena was ever this hokey and this bad. It was a baffling choice to go with this route, and even more baffling for her to be in a figure 8 lock and then roll up Asuka and pin the existing champion while she's on one leg with a roll-up. It was the worst booking decision of the night. The ending was atrocious. The match just had no flow. The triple threat for me goes into trash. And next up, we have the main event. No, we don't, because there was technically another match in there. And that match was Io Skye versus Bianca Belair, a 6-second match that absolutely saved that women's triple threat match from being just absolutely god-awful. We had Io Skye running down to the ring with Bayley and cashing in her Miss Money in the Bank briefcase in one of the greatest feel-good moments that I've seen over the last year. This was fantastic. Not only did Io Skye finally get what she deserved, but if you look at things a little bit deeper, this is just proof that we just need to let Triple H do his thing. This is a year removed from the debut of Damage Control, and Damage Control went through some tough times in that year, and yet here they are standing tall with a women's championship around their waist. In one of the main events of the show. It really was just a wholesome moment to see Bayley be genuinely happy for Io Skye. I think Bayley was honestly kind of breaking character because you could just see it in her eyes and her smile that she's so happy and proud for Io Skye. I'm going to go ahead and put Io Skye's cash in into the great category. I thought it was fantastic. And next up, we have Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso in Tribal Combat for the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. And I have to be honest with you, like as a match, I think that this is one of Roman Reigns' less interesting main events at a premium live event. The first 20 minutes were just incredibly slow, very methodical. We did have a couple of cool chair spots and a table spot, but then after that, it just evolved into this overbooked mess where it just became a 2-on-1 handicap match with, of course, classic Solo Sikoa coming out to help Roman Reigns. And of course, to try and make sense of wrestling from like a logical sense is a futile thing to do. But if this is tribal combat, if this is supposed to be this like honorable thing, why do the elders, if I want to say that, allow Solo Sikoa to just come out and help Roman Reigns? Like that just seems to me like that's kind of against the spirit and against the nature of something that's supposed to be for being the head of the table in tribal combat. But I digress. I might just be over analyzing things. But just the fact that Solo Sikoa came out there and basically made it a 2-on-1 match for what felt like an extra 20 minutes really took away from what this match could have done. And then the plot twist of this was, in my opinion, very illogical and nonsensical, with Jimmy Uso coming out to betray his brother Jey Uso and ultimately helping Roman Reigns win. This, to me, felt like those Vince Russo days where it was a swerve for the sake of having a swerve, and I don't think that it landed. I don't think that it landed with me, and I don't think that it landed with a lot of the WWE universe. And I think we have a lot of people trying to say that, yeah, it does make sense, and no, this is good, but I really think that you're looking for reasons to enjoy this, and that's okay, but I just think that objectively, as a story and storytelling and storyboarding, this was dumb. This was the biggest speed bump that the Bloodline storyline has hit. I'm hoping that they recover from this, because the wider WWE universe seems to be very much of the mind that they're starting to get sick of the Bloodline storyline. I'm personally not, but I can understand with a lot of people starting to get annoyed with this plot when it starts to take turns that don't make sense like this. So this is Triple H's first miss with the storyline, and I mean, it was bound to happen. It's been running for 3 years. It's been 3 years of greatness, and it was bound to inevitably have a hiccup here or there. So the combination of the match being pretty mediocre, the overbooked nature of it, and the silly and nonsensical plot twist, I'm going to be putting this into the meh category. So that's why when you look at where these matches are from head to toe, like this is why SummerSlam has been so divisive. A lot of people think that it's amazing. A lot of people think that it's kind of like meh, kind of okay. That's where I land. And then there's a lot of people that just think that this was a really bad SummerSlam. It's been a very divisive premium live event. But where do you fall with SummerSlam? Did you think it was amazing, meh, or trash? Let me know. Get out of here.